Everybody got me? Okay, great. Right, let's dive in. So let's go over what we're going to talk about today. Who our little company is, a look at model context protocol and how we use it and apply it unstructured. Agentic workflows, a deep dive into that, and then I'll walk you through our implementation of it and what you can expect from it as well. So unstructured is just coming up for its 3rd birthday. I lovingly refer to what we do as the most boring part of generative AI. Nobody in Gen AI does anything more boring than we do. We take unstructured data where it lies, we connect to it, we transform it into canonical JSON schemas, and we prepare it for consumption by Gen AI models. Company's 3 on July the 4th, USA. It's picked up 10,000 paying customers. There's now 35 million product downloads. We have 87 of the Fortune 100 in ongoing usage of this software. Mostly because nobody else wants to do it, because it's terrible, terrible work. This is the work we do, right? We have a fundamental belief that if you want great results out of AI, you need to put great data into it. 80% of the data, I'm now hearing 90% of the data from Gartner, is unstructured data. We bring that to bear. So think about traditional modern data stack. Excel sheets, CSV files, rows and columns into tabular data stores. This is about everything that didn't fit in those data stores. Images, audio, video, PDFs, Word documents. And this is effectively what it looks like for us. Call it the rat's nest. And I see this in company after company after company. You've got some data that lives in your world somewhere, in your system of record. Maybe that'd be S3, Google Drive, or something along those lines. Then we're going to connect to that data. We're going to transform it by identifying if it's a PDF, it's a PowerPoint, it's a Word document, it's a text file, it's a log file, into our opinionated canonical JSON schema. Once we've done that, we're going to clean it with regular expressions and a bunch of other custom processing scripts. We're going to chunk it, we're going to create embeddings, and we're going to write it into downstream vector storage. So there's nothing here that you can't do yourselves, right? It's just utterly, utterly miserable to do it yourselves. So what I see all the times when we talk to customers is either they've built this themselves, and they're like, oh, I wrote a quick connector to S3, I grabbed some data, I transformed it, it all looked great, I'm happy. And then they get told, I've got to get data from SharePoint, now I need PDF files, now we need PowerPoint files. So we see this growth of this code. I've talked to companies that have literally had 50 engineers maintaining this stack. Unstructured exists to just make that easy for you. So I say we sit to the left of graph and vector storage. We connect to data where it lies, we transform it into a canonical usable format, and we write it into graph and vector storage. We do that on loop. Expose it to your LLMs for retrieval, for model training, for whatever your use cases may be. This is what it looks like. So there are today around 50 connectors that are available right now. Our connector framework is open source. You can contribute them yourselves. We work on 67 different file types. Once we've picked up the data, so we've grabbed all these file types, there's a preprocessor here. Its job is to check out the file and understand what it is. If the preprocessor says, hey, I've got a Word document, we know how to get the data out of a Word document because it has a common schema. So we'll take that data with just straight Python, heuristics, regular expressions. You really want to have fast strategy to work. It's the quickest way to get the data out. It's highly accurate. It costs nothing. Hello, mate. High-res strategy is based on object detection and optical character recognition. So that works on the PDFs that don't have extractable text, and we need to bring machine learning models to bear. If we can't get the data with those, then we'll look at a VLM. We'll say, how can we get this data out with a large language model? We do this in cases like maybe last week at the Snowflake Summit, shouldn't say that name, should I here? People had drawn a handwritten table with Arabic in it. The only option for us is LLM. So LLM's a solution for when things get very complicated, but we don't want to use it all the time because it's the most expensive and the most latent. We're always driving to the cheapest cost of performance. What you get out is the canonical JSON schema. If it's PDF, PowerPoint, whatever, it's always the exact same schema. And then we offer enrichment. Python nodes can run on the data. LLM-based enrichment, you can plug in your own API calls. We spit out at the end, chunked embedded JSON that can write directly into Delta tables. Along the way, we connect to any third-party models. So we've got integrations with Together, Voyage, Vertex, Bedrock, OpenAI. We don't care, we're not opinionated about models. If we use a third-party model, we charge you $0 on the pass-through. So this is what it looks like when we take a document. We'll pick up a complicated PDF, title, text, Chris's favorite view of Yosemite table. Our preprocessor will grab it, and it'll say, hey, I've got some text. That'll go through OCR processing. It'll say, hey, I've found an image. It'll base64 encode that image and write it into the JSON document. And there is an option for LLM-based enrichment of that too. What was in the image? See a summary of it, write that out. Any tables we detect are transformed into rows, columns, cells. That data gets reassembled back together and written out into the same canonical JSON schema. Okay, so that's what Unstructured is. That's what we've been doing for the last 3 years with our little company. Last October, when the NCP spec came out, I was interested in it. So I had a read through it. I thought this could be compelling for us. It's a way for the LLMs to directly talk to the tooling and the connectors that we provide. I didn't think about it for about 3 months until my favorite venture capitalist and investor called me one weekend and said, hey, Chris, you need a solution for MCP fast. Do something now. So like all good heads of engineering, I spent all weekend vibe coding our first MCP connector. It's simple in what it did at first, right? I just said, hey, here's our API. We're going to talk to it in natural language. I integrated it with Claude Desktop, and it worked. I could talk to Unstructured in language through Claude. I could say, hey, Unstructured, pick up all of my files from the S3 bucket, run the workflow, chunk it and embed it, and write it into my vector storage, and have it comply. Then I did the next best thing that all good engineering leaders do. I say, hey, engineering team, I built this in 2 days, vibe coded the hell out of it. Why can't you deliver me a full working version by Wednesday? So we had some fights. I said, Chris, it's not magic. You can't vibe code everything in the world. MCP is basically just an open standard for how we talk to tooling, right? It brings LLMs closer to the tools. Capabilities that my team have begun to expose to it are access to resources, ability to prompt it, and tool control. So they started standing up the actual version of the Unstructured MCP server that now lives in our GitHub. If you look at docs.unstructured.io, it's all listed out there. The whole thing's accessible to you right now and downloadable and works. And you can make requests like this, transform these PDFs into JSON, convert any data from this S3 bucket to JSON, chunk it, embed it, write it to vector storage. The full tool list of what it does, you can see here. Create a workflow to move data, create a connection to data, delete workflows. You have full control. Everything that's available through our Python SDK previously, where you'd write code to interact with Unstructured, is now available through natural language interface. The tooling is integrated directly into Cursor. We use it ourselves inside our little company. It just makes it phenomenally easy to transform your data, get it into a format that's understandable by LLMs. Okay, so now we'll talk about where we are going next with this. So the next iteration of what we're doing with it and what's happening behind the scenes at Unstructured now and what all my engineers are busy at home doing right now is think of this more like the LLM talking directly to Unstructured. So the idea is that at some point an LLM can come along and we won't have pre-ingested all your data. Right now, what I see from most of our customers' use cases is, hey, I've got all this SharePoint data. I need a chat your data solution with an LLM. So I'll pick up all that data. I'll transform it to JSON. I'll chunk it. I'll embed it. I'll enrich it. I'll write it to vector storage. They'll point an LLM at it. They'll do retrieval augmented generation on it. Everybody's happy. Some of those systems work out well. Some of them work out at 5 times the cost of the business case value that they're providing because the sheer cost of number of steps and models inside them. So what we're trying to do is address that with MCP. So now the idea is that the LLM, via our agent, has control of the platform and it understands the data it's in there. So we have all our suite of 50 connectors available to you. You make a request to it. Hey, Claude, I need all of the HR data on the last performance review. And instead of us having chunked and embedded everything and me constantly refreshing it, the agents know how to connect to our connectors. In the places where the tooling can make a search, it makes a search, identifies the documents it needs. In the places it can't, we're building catalogs on top of those connectors. So we have document indexes of what is inside those data stores, and we're in quick retrieval straight back to the LLM. So we'll return back to the LLM, hey, I think these are the documents that you need, and these are how we'll answer the use case. You can reply to the agent, no, you brought me 2023's data, I need 2024, and it'll go back, issue the queries across the top of connectors, and drag that data back. So why this is better for our customers is that we're no longer taking on that massive weight of cost of ingesting all of the data. When it's a use case that makes a ton of sense and there's a ton of business value, yeah, well then maybe it's okay to spend $200,000 a month on compute to do this. But in a lot of those use cases, those lower value ones, the agentic approach opens it up. In some use cases for massive scale and search, we still do it the traditional way. It's the fastest way for us to do it. And those quick hit things, we can save a lot of time and resource by doing it through agents. The idea is this, like, I talk about unstructured being ETL plus for generative AI, whereas traditional ETL move rows and columns to rows and columns, we move all of the unstructured data in the world to large language models. What agents make it is that you don't need to come and log into my platform anymore, learn my SDK to connect your system to it, to write integration code. You just straight away can start working with unstructured out the box day one. Okay, demo. I don't actually have an internet connection, I found out, which actually made me very relieved. For those of you who've worked with agents, it's great, 98% of the time, at least 2% of the time, they have publicly humiliated me. So I have a recording of the interaction talking to the unstructured agents behind. So you can see this is just a Streamlit application sat on top of Unstructured's MCP server and its agents. So let me start this. So it's saying, hey, I'm the multi-agent chat system, what can you do for me? And then I've pasted in, from the PDF documents in the S3 bucket, can you give me an analysis of the strategic positioning of uranium production companies? So the model's replied, and it said, I think you're looking about uranium production companies, and based on PDF context, I think I can get them from S3. Can you confirm this is right? And we're saying yes, and then the model is saying, all right, now are you interested in specific geographic regions? Would you like any focus on time period analysis? I'm like, not really, 5 years, and get me anything from a PDF. So now the model says, okay, well, I'm preparing to capture the most relevant information. Are you interested in any specific aspects? So I'm going to talk to the model and tell it, this is the data that I need, this are the things that I'm most interested in. Now it goes away and another agent is called and it'll do task definition. So you see right now it's gone, okay, I know I'm outputting everything to Delta tables, so it's defined a Delta table on the fly, it's grabbed in the data that it needs, it's transforming it into our schema, and then it's going to route it into Delta tables. Now it asks, I'm going to operate unstructured, do you want a new workflow, or would you like to use an existing workflow? I say, I think I've already got a workflow for S3 to Delta tables, so find one. So it lists all of the workflows that I've got available to me, and it will execute that workflow and start moving that data into Delta tables. Now it says, hey, I moved all the data, and here's the things that I've learned about this process. So we didn't have to first go and pick up 10,000 PDF documents and ingest them all and have this massive vector database, which is a replica of my S3 bucket, which is a replica of SharePoint. We're issuing these queries like on demand through this application. Then you can go on to have your typical LLM-based interactions with it. So agents for us are about how we can define another method of go-to-market. So we have the big option, like I say, move all your data into a vector database, replicate everything. But if you've got lighter weight tasks like this, and you don't want to ingest petabytes of data that are going to cost you a fortune, build indexes, work with connectors that offer real-time search, group that all together, manage the task with agents, and get it all back. Okay, we have 5 minutes left. I'm bang on time. First of all, I'm at D106. It's like right down the other end. We have the best trucker hats and swag you could ever imagine, so please come and help me get rid of the 2,000 hats. I really do not want to be shipping any of those home. You're welcome to 5, 6, 7 of those things. And secondly, our little company is going bananas right now. If any of you are, I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, but any of you are like staff, senior level Python engineers and you want jobs, please come, I need you. Like, booth D106 up there. Ask for Chris. I run engineering, and I will chat to anyone who wants a job at a high growth, super exciting, fun startup that thinks turning PDFs into JSON is a fun job. It takes a unique personality to join our company. But if you're one of those people, please come and be bored with me and make this work for all of Gen AI. Thank you very much.